Hi, this is the Fantasy Review, and for this particular video, we'll be looking at Isekai Anime. So something a bit different to book reviews. There's lots of great Isekai Anime out there that deal with fantasy. I'm going to be dealing with my top 10 favorite fantasy Isekai. The whole concept of Isekai is basically someone in the real world, through some means, magic or a gate or a portal or science fiction concept, goes through into like a fantasy sort of world and then has to deal with that new environment, maybe getting back to reality if they want to. They don't all want to. So we're going to be dealing with the top 10 fantasy versions of those where they go end up in a fantasy world. If I haven't included ones where they end up in science fiction type world. My first one, well, the number 10 is Hack Sign. This is really old, goes back to 2002. There's a main character called Tsukasa, and he's in the real world, and he gets trapped into this game world. So this is like a subgenre where people end up in gaming type worlds. And he's in there with other people that are trapped in there. It's not really action driven, it's mainly sort of storyline, mystery driven. He's trying to work out how to get out of this particular world. The animation is pretty good. It's a little bit dated. It brought up with the original concept. So you look at Sword Art Online and it looks very similar concept to that, but it's the originator. The next one is Overlord. So Overlord's a lot more new, a lot more recent, goes back to 2015. It's a bit different in that it's a gaming sort of, someone transferred into a gaming world. But in this one, the person is transferred in, his name is Momonga, and he's there sitting playing this game that he loves, this big MMO called Yggdrasil. And it's about to shut down. The server's going to shut down and they're going to terminate the game. When they do, he gets stuck in the game. But he's not stuck in the game just as anyone. He's stuck in the game as the sort of leader of the empire. And he has all these minions, but he has huge powers. So he has to go through the universe and work out exactly what's going on. It's quirky, it's funny, it's quite different, very popular. Three seasons so far, which is great. Lots of reviewers like it. The next one I'm going to talk about is No Game, No Life. I put that at number 8. This is about two successful gamers and they get stuck in a game world. So similar to Hack Sign, Overlord and Sword Art Online, they're in this sort of gaming fantasy world. It's got lots of cliches in the gaming world. It's really quirky, it's really bizarre, it's quite funny. It's got an ecky element to it. It's quite wacky. A lot of people like it more than I put it at number 8. A lot of people have it right up the top. It just didn't appeal to my tastes as much. I like my stuff a bit more serious, but a lot of people think it's fantastic. Number 7, I've got Ascendance of a Bookworm. So this is called in Japanese Honzuki no Gekko Kujo. And this is a lot more recent. This is only 2019, I think. And it's about a girl, a woman, an adult woman, and she wants to be a librarian. She's really into books, but a bunch of bookshelves fall on top of her and kill her. And she goes through into this fantasy world, inhabiting the body of an 8-year-old girl. And she has all the knowledge of someone from our world, of all modern technology, and she's mature as an adult would be. But she's number one, she's in an 8-year-old girl's body in this fantasy world. She doesn't know anything about, and her body's quite frail. So the girl's quite sick. So she has all these challenges she has to get through. And all she really wants to do is just hang out with books and read books, which she can't do in this world because they're restricted to the nobility. So it's quite quirky and bizarre, but it's a great isekai for the family. All the family can watch it, and it's sort of charming and fun, and you really want to see. It got me hooked, and you really want to see what happens. So yeah, give it a shot. The next one is Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash, which is called in Japanese Haito Genso no Grimgar. And this is once again a whole bunch of people get transferred into this sort of fantasy world. And it's a bit different because they don't really remember their old who they were. They know they've appeared in this fantasy world. They don't know really why they're there, and they're like an adventuring party, and they have to um, learn how to do all the things people do in this sort of fantasy world. So they form a little adventuring party group, and they have to go and attack goblins and whatnot. So it's sort of interesting in that they start from scratch and they have to work out how to survive. Um, the visuals in this are great. Out of all these 10, this is one of my favorite visuals. The artwork is great. And the storyline was really good too. I loved it. They use their wits to sort of get together in this fantasy world. A different take on the genre. I thought it was really good. The only shame was it sort of stops, and you don't really know what happens to them because they only made one season, which is a bit annoying. But anyway, it's still worth checking out. The next one I'm going to say is The Rising of the Shield Hero at number 5, which is a great one. I really like this, and it's really recent. It's currently on and very popular. Basically, this one, it sees 4 characters once again transferred from the real world into a fantasy gaming setting. And they're all gamers, and the main character is sort of a neat gamer. He's called Naofumi Iwatani. And they all play games in the real world and be transferred into this sort of fantasy world. So they do use that as an advantage, but they've all been given these weapons and they're all sort of heroes with their individual weapons, except the protagonist of this one, the main character, just has a shield. So he hasn't got a weapon he can actually fight with. So number one, that puts him behind the others. And then secondly, right from the very start, he has all these challenges. Sexual assault thing, false charges are against him, and everyone hates him. So he's really unhappy with the world, and he has to struggle. But he struggles and challenges and comes out on top. And it's a really great animation, very popular at the moment. A lot of people watching it, and probably one of the big things about it I don't like is it has a huge chicken as one of the main characters. ReZero is also really big at the moment. It's from 2016, Zero Kara Hajimero Isekai Seikatsu. And this is quite recent. It deals with the main character, Subaru Natsuki, and he's like a game-playing sort of loser dude. He's going to the convenience store and something happens to him and he gets transferred into this world. And he walks around in the whole world, in this fantasy world, just wearing his tracksuit. And half the time he's carrying a plastic bag full of things he bought at the shop. But the interesting thing about it is that he has absolutely no skills. So he just has to use his smarts. The one thing he does that's different is, like Groundhog Day, when he gets killed, he respawns back to a previous time, which means, number one, he can't die. And number two, he has knowledge of what's going to happen in the future because he's respawned back to a previous time. So he uses that knowledge to sort of advantage himself. But the actual main characters are sort of rude and brusque and a bit of a loser. And he sort of progresses. And so you see that character progression. Has some great characters in it and great visuals. Also, like Grimgar, it's also great visually. I really liked it. It's very popular. I think pretty sure it's got a second season, so it's still going. Number 3, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, which is really, really popular. It's a clever, slightly bizarre take on isekai animation. The main character gets killed. He's a 37-year-old corporate worker, and he gets, I can't remember how he gets killed. I think he gets run over by a car or something. Anyway, he's transported to the new world, and it's some sort of magical gaming element. But he starts off as a slime creature in this world, and he can do certain things, and he has to discover the world. He initially helps some goblins. Then he turns from a slime character into a humanoid body, and then he continues on. He goes through various challenges. It's great. It's great fun. Very popular anime. Lots of reviewers love it. Great characterization. And he just sort of gets through this world and deals with all the challenges, and you really sort of grow to empathize with him and what he's doing. The next one is Log Horizon. So this is one of my absolute favorites. I loved Log Horizon. It's similar to Sword Art Online in that it deals with a group of gamers and they get stuck in their online characters. Probably like most of these, actually. They're together. There's all these guilds. It's a proper sort of fantasy environment, fantasy online environment of all these guilds and all these players. So really the enemies are the other guilds and the other humans who have been transferred there. It sort of deals with things like, what happens if you don't want to be stuck in there. There's people there that want to be, that are happy to be stuck in this online world. There's other people that are depressed and kill themselves because they can't handle it. They want to get back to real life and they can't. So it deals with these guilds, it deals with politics, it deals with discovering how the world works and what they can do. I found it really interesting. A big thing about Log Horizon is the characters. I found the characters really enjoyable. I liked all the politics and how the guilds work. The world's sort of interesting. It's like this modern, overgrown sort of modern world. And they go around discovering the sort of world they're in. So Log Horizon, absolute great. Probably wouldn't normally top as high on this in most people's top 10s of Isekai Fantasy Anime, but it's a personal favourite, so it's a bit of an indulgence of mine. And lastly, of course, Sword Art Online. It's number one for me, and a lot of people will put number one Sword Art Online as an Isekai animation. So, like most of these, it deals with people that are stuck in an online fantasy gaming environment. And the original main character is Kazuto Kirigaya, and he's stuck in this game with a large amount of players. Sort of difference here is their bodies are in the real world, but they're stuck in the game. So their bodies are suffering the real world while they're stuck in the game, and the bodies get put in hospital and whatnot, and they can die. So if they die in the game, their bodies die as well. It's sort of transferred through into them. So there's real causes. The main character, Kazuto, is a bit of a loner. He doesn't trust the other people. A lot of the other people are bad and have lots of egos, and he's got to deal with a guild system, which he's not really into. So he has all these challenges. Sword Art Online is like visually really impressive. I bought like a book of the artwork from it. I loved it so much, just very visual. A lot of focus on the backstory and the politics and why these people are stuck in the game and the evil character behind it and all this stuff. SAO, Sword Art Online, has got, I think, 4 seasons now, and it's really popular, and it's even branched out to non-fantasy sort of isekai anime. And I've watched most of them. I think there was one I didn't really like, but most of them I thought were really great. So Sword Art Online, that's my big one, the one I really liked. And yeah, it's into its 5th season, actually, I said. So that's my top 10. You probably didn't agree with all those. Please leave me a message if you don't. It'd be great to discuss it in the comments. So thank you very much.